Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here. Have a quick weekend update for you regarding the unfolding energy crisis over in Europe. So this past week on Wednesday, Gazprom shut down the Nord Stream 1 pipeline for routine maintenance, and that maintenance was supposed to take about 3 days. And then on Friday, hours before they were set to reopen the pipeline, Gazprom announced that they had discovered an oil leak. They published some photos of some oil spilling onto some wires, said they were experiencing technical problems, and that they were going to need to do more repairs. And when Gazprom made this announcement, they did not give any timeline for when the pipeline would be back up and running. So as we entered the weekend, we have sort of just this indefinite closure of the pipeline looming ahead of us. And it's notable that Gazprom made this announcement after the energy markets had already closed for the day on Friday. So there hasn't been any trading action with this announcement priced in yet. And that is important because on Monday we should all be paying attention to what happens in the European energy market. But it's probably not just a technical glitch here. And I mean, I don't think that's news to anybody. This announcement, it came immediately following the G7 announcing themselves that they would be pursuing this cap on the price of Russian oil. So this is a scheme that I covered in a recent video. Not going to get too into it here. I'll put a link down in the description to that if you want to check that out, if you want to find out what that is all really about, because, you know, the G7 is saying they're just trying to harm Russian oil revenues, but it goes a little deeper than that. It has to do with the European Union sanctions that are set to kick in at the end of this year. But the point is, they made this announcement that they were going to be pursuing a price cap on Russian oil, and the Gazprom announcement that they're going to be keeping the Nord Stream 1 pipeline shut off is likely some form of retaliation. And, you know, it couldn't come at a worse time for the EU. We've already seen this past week a number of nations coming forward saying they're going to have to bail out their energy companies. German utility giant Uniper has already received some state assistance. Austria bailed out its biggest energy supplier, which is a state-owned utility company, which now requires a 2 billion euro bailout. So they're very vulnerable to these declines in the supply of Russian gas. Austria specifically is very dependent on Russian natural gas, almost entirely. And so, you know, with the short supply of gas that was already in place before this announcement, already they're having to bail out these companies. So you can imagine how this announcement by Russia that they're going to be keeping gas flows cut off indefinitely, how that is going to affect these energy suppliers and these utility companies over there in Europe. And it's not just the bailouts that we're seeing, but also the European Commission. This is an article from Reuters from September 1st. They've announced that they are looking into options to cap energy prices and cut electricity demand as part of a proposal to tackle higher energy costs. And from what I've read, they haven't gone into too much detail as to what these options are going to be, but I suspect it could be anything from price controls. And of course, that will ultimately lead to shortage. They could also be looking at maybe doing some kind of rolling blackout or power only being available during certain times of the day. Or also, you know, they might be looking at some kind of a smart grid sort of thing where they come in and they give you a smart thermostat and it only works certain times of the day, or it can only get you down to a certain temperature or a certain heat. So I think all of those options might be on the table. But the point is, they were talking about this, again, before Russia made this announcement that Nord Stream will now be indefinitely shut off. And I do want to talk also about the price of natural gas in Europe and how that is going to be affected. But before I do, real quick, I would like to say a big thank you to today's video sponsor, Silver Botanicals, household and personal hygiene products that utilize the power of nano silver and all natural essential oils. Make sure you check them out with the link down in the description. And don't forget to use coupon code STACKER to save 10% off your order at silverbotanicals.com. Okay, and this is the price of Dutch natural gas. That is the benchmark natural gas price in Europe. And you can see that, take a look at the 6-month chart here, and you can see we had this spike following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, spiked up to just over 200. And then it kind of came down and was cruising along around 100 for a while, which was slightly elevated, but nothing drastic. And then we began seeing this big climb up back in June as the supplies of Russian natural gas really were tightened. And then recently, with all the recession fears and reduced demand that go along with that, we've seen a big decline. Now, it's still a high price. We're still around that level that it spiked to back at the end of February, but a marked reduction from just a few weeks ago. It was trading around 345, 347, and now we're down to 214. But Gazprom did make that announcement that the Nord Stream 1 pipeline will be shut off indefinitely after markets closed on Friday. So again, we haven't seen any trading with this news priced in. So on Monday, keep an eye on this price because it is likely to move much higher when the markets open. And how much higher? Kind of hard to say at this point, but considering how tight the energy supply and the price of natural gas and other forms of energy have gotten over in Europe, a major spike from these already elevated levels could really be disastrous. And, this is the kind of contagion that could spread into the financial system, could cause a lot of problems. And, also not to mention the lasting economic damage of simply having all of the industry over in many of these areas having to shut off because it's no longer profitable to operate with energy costs being so high. And so, if we see the price of energy spike up in a very major way on Monday, that could have some real negative implications for global markets. Certainly in the U.S. here, it already seems like things are kind of poised for, further decline. And so that could be a catalyst that affects us as well. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Is this something that we should be worrying about, or do you think that this is just a big nothing burger? I would love to hear what you have to say. And I do also just want to say a big thank you to everybody out there watching. Appreciate you tuning in. I will catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker, out.